Hi, welcome to Chris Cook for YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing an old time favorite, and a lot of people have asked me about it, so I'm going to do it today, and that is tea cakes. This recipe is very old school. It's the cross between a cookie and a cake. And back in the day when you wanted something sweet but yet you didn't want to go as far as to make a cake, this is what you use. Now, there's a lot of false beliefs out here, and one of them just came from my daughter. She asked me, well, what do you do with tea cakes? Do you serve it with tea? No, you don't. You use this when you want something sweet because it's fast, it's in a hurry, you can get it done, and it's very good and tasty. So let's get started with the ingredients that we're going to need to make this cross between a cookie and a cake. We're going to need flour, baking powder, salt is the dry ingredients, and sugar. That's your dry ingredients, and we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. And then we're going to need softened butter, eggs, milk. This is whole milk, and you should use vanilla flavor, but I'm using lemon flavor with this, and you can use any kind of flavor that you like because that's the kind of flavor that I really had a taste. So I had a taste for something lemony, so that's what I want to do. And I'm going to do a couple of I'm going to do at least one variation of this tea cake, of a way that you could serve this tea cake, and I'll show you that at the end. Now, you don't see measurements, but you will see measurements at the bottom of the video, and the reason why you don't see them now is because I'm making a larger batch. So the batch that you would probably make will be a lot smaller. We're going to put this in a 375-degree oven, and we're going to cook it for roughly 10 to 12 minutes. So that's a short period of time. So I'm going to take all of these ingredients, go to my mixer, and I'll meet you at the mixer. Okay, now I'm at the mixer, and I'm going to go ahead and start my mixer. Only thing I have in there is my butter, and you have to cream together the butter, the sugar, and the eggs. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to take the baking powder and put it into my flour, and I'm going to take the salt and put it into my flour as well, and I'm just going to fork stir that in, and that's just so I don't have to do it later on. I already have this already mixed into my flour, and like I said, I'll put the ingredients at the bottom. While I have this fork, I'm going to blend my eggs a little bit. Okay, just to kind of get them partially mixed up. Now, I'm going to add my sugar to my butter. And I'll tell you something, even when you're making a cake, the better way to do that so you can get a real good cake, good tasting cake, is always blend, not unless the recipe says otherwise, blend together your butter, or cream together your butter, your sugar, and then your eggs, and it's in that order. So it's butter first, then you add the sugar, and then you add the eggs. Okay. Now, while that is creaming, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, and I've slightly beaten these eggs. I'm going to go ahead and add these eggs. They're slightly beaten to this mixture as well. And that's a little bit at a time. Now, back in the day, they didn't even have mixtures. They did all this by hand. So, I mean, thank God for mixers now, because we don't have to do it by hand, but that was the way they did it. So I'm going to mix that together. And then I'm going to, just making sure that that's kind of well blended together, I'm going to go ahead and add my mix. Now remember, this is not a cake, okay? This is going to be a cookie. So the way I expect once I blend it together my cakes to look, cookie is a little bit different, or a cross between a cake and a cookie. I just added the milk to the dish, and that's whole milk. I'm going to have the ingredients, like I said, at the end of the video tutorial. And I use lemon flavor, so that was just my lemon flavor that I just went ahead and I mixed in. Now, I'm going to get this off of the walls just a little bit. Stir in my bottom just a little bit. Don't worry about it. I was going to get my spatula, but it's okay. I can do it with the spoon. Now I'm going to add the flour that already has my baking powder and my salt already in it. And I'm adding a little bit at a time, but this is going to ball up so it'll have the look, you know, of kind of what you would expect your cookie dough to really look like. And like I told you, you won't use this much ingredients. I'm using a lot of ingredients because I'm making a lot of it. Yours is going to be half this much. So whatever it is that you saw me do, yours is going to be half that. And I can pretty much tell you, I'll post it at the end, what the serving amount would be. So if you still would say for instance, the serving amount would be 20 and you don't want the 10, then of course you would just cut the amount of ingredients that's listed, cut it in half. But this is a good cookie. This is a nice day to really make it on. It's raining outside here in Virginia, so it's not too much else that you can do. And plus, I'm doing this as a dessert for because we're celebrating 4th of July today. I'm sorry, Labor Day today and tomorrow. I'm sorry. Not the 4th of July, not Labor Day. My daughter's sitting up here shaking her head, but Memorial Day. You got it right that time. Okay, we're celebrating that today and tomorrow. Now I have a screen for this mixer which stops the residue from the flour from going up, but I'm not using it. Just clean up whatever the flour I get down there. Okay, a little bit more. Add to this. And we're going to add it. Stop it for 1 minute. Take it up. But you see how much that's kind of like getting like a ball. And I just want to cut it off just so that I don't get so much flour flare. And every time I use this mixer, all I have to do is put the guard on, and I just refuse to do that. So, alright, got it all in. We're gonna let it boil, and that's what my guard does. When you see me using my hands, if I had my guard would be cutting it out. It's only clamping something on, and I wouldn't even do that. But anyway, now you see that this has kind of balled up, similar to your cookie dough. So this is it. The only thing else I'm going to do is scrape it down, bring it to a ball, and then I'm going to put it together. This is mixed together. It's already blended. It does not take a lot of blending for this. Like I told you back in the day, they did it by hand, and now I'm doing it with just a little bit of help from my KitchenAid. So I'm going to stop this. Okay, I'm going to scrape all of that down. Let's see if I can reach my spatula. Yeah, I'm going to scrape this down into a ball. And then I'm going to show you how to make this. But that's how it should look. Just like you see mine looking. Okay. It's thick enough for me to ball together, which I'm going to show you that part of it as well. Just want to clean off my mixer just a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now I'll meet you back at the table so we can put them together and bake them off. Be right back. Okay, now we're back and I'm getting ready to roll this out, or I'm going to show you how I do it, okay, and how they did it back in the day. But you can use a rolling pin to roll this out, which I'm not going to use. And you can use cookie cutters, okay, in order to make the shape of your actual tea cake. Not going to use that either, because that's not the way that I learned it. Now, I really didn't learn to put parchment paper down on your baking sheet. But because this is not a non-stick baking sheet, if you have a non-stick pan, don't need the parchment paper. If you don't have it, which this is not a non-stick pan, then I'm going to go ahead and use the parchment paper down on my baking sheet. Now, this is the way I learned it. I'm an old school cook. This is the way that I'm going to do it. If you prefer to use the cookie cutter and you prefer to use the rolling pin, then by all means go ahead. That's fine. But this is the way that I learned it. Okay? And this is the way that I've always done it. And it's a whole lot easier for me. And anybody who has a old school person in their family and they've been doing these tea cakes for a long time, I guarantee you this is probably the way that she or he, whichever one it is, does it. Okay, so I have some flour down on my cutting board and I have flour on my hand. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to just pat it out, and I'm patting it out instead of rolling it out. Now, rolling it out would be the way that some of you people would prefer, or you guys would prefer, and that's fine. I mean, do it whichever way you want to do it. That's fine. But I'm going to do it the way that I learned it, and the way that it's most easier for me. And this is my family that's eating it, and I've been cooking with my hands for my family for a long time. So, not finna stop now. Now, what I'm going to do is to take, and I learned it using a glass, because a glass is about the same size, the rim of the glass is about the same size as the biscuit cutter would actually be. So I'm going to cut these out, or just see how I'm doing that. And this is about a little bit bigger, I would say, than, or a little bit thicker than 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now, once I do that, I'm going to take them, put them down on my baking sheet. And remember, I'm going to put these in the oven. And I'm going to allow these to cook off in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. And that's at 375 degrees. Okay. So, and it's similar to how you would do if you were going to make biscuits. It's no different, and all of them are not going to be the identical same size, because that depends on whether or not all your cuts come out even. Okay, so then I'll take my dough and I'll add that to it, flatten it back out. And like I said, you can use your rolling pin. I don't knock that. Okay, I didn't learn it with no rolling pin. Some people don't even have a rolling pin in their house. Especially new beginner cooks, they don't have that. So you can take what you have. You can improvise. You can take what you have and still get the job done. Okay, so then you'll take this and I'll put that down. Now I'm going to put this dough over here to the side, because I'm going to mix that dough with some more dough. And I'm going to take my flour that I had left over and just spread it out. And as you need more flour, then you can go ahead and get more flour. Okay? If you find that it's sticking to your hands, then that means that you do need a little bit more flour, because the last thing you want to do is stick to your hands and you'll have a mess. Okay? and just spread it out. And keep on doing this. Now, I'm making a big batch, so it's going to be a minute for me. But I just want to show you this first pan. Well, that one was in a hurry to get into the pan, so we just go ahead and put it there. And when that's stuck into the on the glass rim, put some more flour on your glass rim if that's what you're going to use, okay? If you're going to use your cookie cutter or whatever, go ahead and do it that way. Now, if you're presenting this to somebody that you're trying to impress, then the cookie cutter would be fantastic. I'm not trying to do that. This is just my family, so the way I'm doing it is fine. So I'm going to finish out these. I'm going to make another pan, finish out these, continue to do until I get all of them done. And what I'm going to do is to come back and show you what they actually look like. So we're going to put them in a 375-degree oven for roughly 10 to 12 minutes. And then we'll be back once I get all of them finished. I'll be back. Be right back. Okay, now we're back and all of the tea cakes are done, and here's what they should look like. They should not be a dark color on top. Okay, it should be a very, very light yellow color on top, and you can tell that around, say, around the lines of it, the outside lines of it, the back will be darker, and around the outside rim of it, it'll be darker, but it should be very, very light on top. Like I said, between 10 and 12 minutes, that's it. Now, you can eat this tea cake by itself because that's the way it was designed to be, just to eat it by itself. And like I told you, it's a cross between a cookie and cake. So that's the kind of taste you're going to get, relatively like a dough cake. But I'm going to go a little bit further with it today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tea cake, and I have some whipped cream here, which I hadn't opened it up, and sit that there. And strawberries. I sliced up these fresh strawberries, and what I did, in order to get a little bit of a syrup to your strawberries, all you need to do is add a little bit of sugar. So to these strawberries, I added a tablespoon of sugar, and that allowed me to get my syrup to the strawberries. And I needed the syrup for the dish that I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take, on top of one of these tea cakes, I'm going to put these fresh strawberries down on top. And because this is a cross between a cookie and a cake, you do have a little bit of crunch. So to eliminate that little bit of crunch, if you choose to do that, you can just go ahead and put some of the juices from the strawberries down on it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the whipped cream here. And then I'm going to take and put another layer, on top of that. I'm going to add some more strawberries on top of the second one. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more of the juices, and that's just to soften up that tea cake. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of the whipped cream, and I'm going to stay away from this. I'm not going to eat it. One of the kids will definitely eat this. Then I'm going to add a couple of more strawberries on top and put just a little bit of the juices from the strawberries. Okay, that's a nice dessert for my, and let me get it right this time, Memorial Day. Okay, it's nice if you want to just fancy up that tea cake and serve it at any one of your dinners. That is a very nice and light dessert for you. Okay, people have been asking me about making tea cakes, so I went ahead and made them today. I want to thank you for the sales on my book. My book is doing fantastic. I really want to thank all of you guys that bought it. And if you have not checked out my website yet, go over to www.chriscookforyou2.net. Again, www.chriscookforyou2.net, because it's more than just the book there. You'll get a lot of kitchen items there, and I'm going to be uploading some more in the next couple of days that I have not put on that website. Check it out. Check out my book. Glad to have you aboard, and as always, thank you for watching Chris Cook for You Too. Bye.